Welcome to the Teachers on Fire podcast, where 21st century educators come to share, learn, and be inspired. We believe in the growth mindset, creativity, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and strategic uses of education technology. Our mission is to share news and views from teachers who are crushing it in the classroom and making a difference for learners everywhere. I'm your host, Tim Cavey. Let's jump into today's episode. Today, I'm speaking with Jeff Kubiak. Jeff is the principal of Nelda Elementary School in Fairfield, California. Follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeffrey Kubiak and catch his blog posts at principalkubiak.blogspot.com. Jeff, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Are you ready to talk education?
Dude, I'm always ready to talk education.
That's what I like to hear, man. Hey, Jeff, why don't you tell us just a little bit more about your current context?
Yeah, so our school at Nelda Mundy is a TK to 5 school. We have about 800 kiddos here, 35 teachers, 25 support staff. As far as demographics, we're pretty much a typical makeup of Fairfield, which is located in one of the most diverse counties in the United States, Solano County. So we're 30% Caucasian, 25% Filipino, 20% Latino, then it kind of goes down from there. Very, very involved parent population and a community. A lot of our kids walk and bike to school, and it's a great place to be. This is a school that has transitioned over the last 10 years. It's instead of just always thinking about performance, we've really looked and we're pushing growth because we're still, missing that bottom 25, 30%. And how can we grow the whole school? And that's a big mindset shift for our community. And so, we try to push and recognize as many kids as we can. Student of the month, positive office referrals, positive phone calls home, PBIS, honor roll, MAP growth. It's just, we're really focusing on the word growth, and that is not something that's been in the DNA. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Well, that's awesome. And I don't know how long you've been following me, Jeff, but I'm a huge growth mindset fan. And honestly, I would point to Carol Dweck's book as one of the biggest game changers in my life and in my professional journey recently. So I love that growth is the focus there at your school. And I'm assuming you just dropped the word growth. So you're just thinking holistic, like every kind of growth. Am I right?
Yeah. It's hashtag allkids, really. It's, it might be social emotional for you. It might be physical or athletic for you, or it might be academic reading. It's just, we got to move the whole kid. And that's where I think we're missing out, especially in this school district. We have a 20% no grad rate. 80% of the kids graduate high school here. And that, to me, that's not acceptable. So.
Yeah, there's a lot we could unpack there for sure. Yeah. Next, Jeff, let's move into a piece of adversity from your education journey. So you're a principal today. Tell us about a low moment that you faced somewhere along the way, and then share how you overcame it.
Yeah, so a while ago I was on John Harper's My Bad podcast, which is one of my favorites.
So good.
Where I, at one time, basically abandoned a student for hours. And when I think about the question, a couple low things come to my mind. The biggest one I think was my first year teaching. I was hired to teach 5th grade. At the last minute, the superintendent talked me into teaching middle school PE. I didn't have a middle school credential, but I was, at one time I was a world-class athlete and a swim coach for a long time. And so I thought I could do it. And it was... Oh my God, it was terrible. I had kids they would go off campus, get in trouble. Oh, Mr. K said we could go. I had a kid hit me on the head with a baseball bat. Thank God I was wearing a helmet. It was in a very, very predominantly wealthy white area of Northern California. And I would go home so broken and beat down and felt like there was no support for me as a teacher. And I didn't even make it through my first year. I left teaching and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I don't know how people do this. And it made me reflect and think about which direction I wanted to go. So, yeah, it was brutal.
So, Jeff, how did you get through that? I mean, how did you come back from that to the place where you are today?
Well, I continued to coach. And I also took kind of a 180. I jumped into pharmaceutical sales with a big drug company, and is like wearing a suit and tie every day and doing the same exact thing. I miss the kids. And I thought, well, I like the younger ones. And I found a really cool elementary school that embraced my mantra and took me in, and I jumped in, and it was there that really relit my candle.
That's awesome. I can tell from the stuff that you're putting out and just listening to what you're saying, Jeff, that you are a people guy and relationships first kind of a leader. And I think that's so important, especially in the kind of context that you described. So Jeff, let's talk about your priorities in leadership. You're an expert now when it comes to building positive culture and a learning community. So at Mundy Elementary, what are your top priorities? What do you focus on?
Well, I came in last year as my first year and really tried to get to know people and have them get to know me. And so this year, we decided to embrace the book One by Kathryn Otoshi. And that's been a great start. We read the book to every student the first day of school. I did a Facebook Live reading. I've read it at back to school night. And it's, we really want the students, staff, parents, and community members to be accountable for that and make sure that not only every kid or every person counts, but they know how to stand up and be counted no matter who they are. And, equity, diversity, and all that. And with the staff, we're doing a book club this year with Jimmy Casas' book, Culturize. And
so good.
Trying to better get our staff, moving forward on how can we all better our school from the ground up. And the all kids mantra is not something that's been as embraced here in the past, but this year it's going really well.
That's fantastic. I'm working my way through Culturize. I've dropped a few quotes here and there that have really touched me, but I'm new to the first book that you mentioned, One by Kathryn Otoshi, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a picture book. It's a kid's book, and it's just,
okay.
Starts with the colors blue and red's a hothead, and it's beautiful. The message is awesome.
Jeff, what else excites you about education today? You've already dropped some gems, but is there something that you would point to that say, yes, this is why in the year 2018 I'm really passionate about education?
Well, I think the thing that just really stokes me and fires me up is I love that our students can teach our teachers things. And that we have really, really scratched the surface. I mean, watching kids learn, and then when you get into a certain teacher's classroom, seeing that passion just ooze out of every orifice, and then the kids are super fired up, and then I get fired up. And, I got 800 kids here, and they all want to give me high fives or knuckles and hugs. And it's just seeing that excitement, man. It's just, it's epic.
Oh, so many good things there. Outside of education, Jeff, let's talk about who you are outside of the school. What's another area of passion and learning for you? What lights your fire outside of education?
Being with my family, outdoors, traveling, and I really try to instill reading in my kids. My wife is an avid reader. My mom was an avid reader, but I struggle with reading, and I still do. And I read educational books because I want to learn and grow. And we do family read alouds. But I think if I read and learn, then we're all going to read and learn at school and with my family. But we love being together. We all love the water. We go to Hawaii every year, and so swimming, surfing, and then the coaching. All those kind of things I use in my toolbox to make me better as I come on campus every day.
Well, I love the family part, the water part. And if you know Jeff, if you follow him on Twitter, the whole water thing comes as no surprise. As soon as you see his profile pic, you'll get it. But you're a passionate guy when it comes to the ocean, I take it. And let's go there for a second. Are you a surfer, a paddleboarder, all of the above? What are you into?
Well, I had back surgery 5 months ago. And so prior to that, I was a surfer, then longboarder. I love stand-up paddleboarding. So I think my surfing days are over because of popping up and down with my lower back. But I love stand-up paddleboarding. I love body surfing. And I also love scuba and snorkeling. So give me water and I'm a happy man.
Well, Jeff, this next question might be right in the same area, but tell us about a personal habit that you do on maybe a daily or a regular basis that contributes to your success.
Walking, since I had surgery in May, walking is like the number one, kind of physical therapy. And but it helps me clear my mind. I just recently got back on a bike and got into the pool. But the pool that's like my place. Is I can just swim, I let things go, and I just think, and it really clears my mind. And especially, if you had a hard day getting hammered by, parents or this or that, it just, it freshens me up and, gets me fired up for the next day.
I think as educators, Jeff, we need those places, those go-tos where everything else just sort of fades into the background or fades away completely. And it sounds like the water is that place for you, for sure. Are you going back to the walking? Are you a step counter kind of guy? Do you have a Fitbit or what are you doing there?
My phone. I try to do at least 10K a day. Sometimes way more, sometimes right around there. But we have a 11-month-old puppy at home, so my wife and I always get a late night walk, and I try to do an early morning walk too, about 4:30 with the dog, so it gives me a little extra steps in.
Jeff, we're moving into some rapid fire picks. Let's start with Twitter. Tell us about an education leader, or maybe more than one, that we should be following on Twitter, and explain why.
John Carippo, he is the CEO of Q now. He partnered with Marlena to write Edu Protocols. I love what he brings. I love how he puts things into a way that any kid or any student can learn in a different way. And my teachers that are using his magic are just killing it. And the kids rule. They want more. Yeah, Jimmy Casas, he's amazing. We're using his book Culturize right now, bringing it to the table. Tom Murray is my man, going to the future-ready schools. Then other principal leaders like, Katie Martin's also there, George Kuros. Just too many. Of course, the Beth Hoff is, my lead like a pirate. She kind of really helped me move my whole dynamic into leadership, and just love what she does too. So, and of course, my man, not best, but can't get by without saying Hamish Brewer, who the relentless principal. He's such an inspiration, and we Vox and keep in touch, and he pushes me to be better. And Adam, welcome. Run like a pirate. There you go.
Dude, that was an all-star cast. So well done. Well done. If you're out there listening in your car on your commute, trying to scribble these down, hey, keep both hands on the wheel and check out teachersonfire.net. I'll make sure to note all of these educators on Twitter that Jeff just gave us. Next, Jeff, point us to an ed tech tool that you currently love using in your practice, your day-to-day work. And there might be a couple of ways to answer this. I mean, tell us about what you see your teachers using that really excites you, and then maybe something that works for you.
Yeah, I love watching my teachers and students use FlipGrid. We've moved on from accelerated reader, and I'm seeing such collaborative and deep learning with FlipGrid for, book responses, book chats. Brad Gustafson is an amazing literary guy that I like to follow, and he does so much book chatting and book clubs and book tasting and book menus, and FlipGrid brings it, man. And then the kids get to respond to each other. If you're camera shy, you just put up a little stuffed animal or whatever, but it pushes kids to be engaged. And I love Voxer. I can't live without it. It's a walkie-talkie text, whatever you want to call it for people that don't know, but just a quick way to get a shout out and a word right back instead of, waiting for an email or a phone call. And there's tons of Voxer groups I'm in, and I learn and learn and learn constantly. Those are my go-tos.
Hey, Jeff, as someone who's sort of poked around Voxer and maybe doesn't really get it, where do I go to figure out how to get connected on Voxer? You don't have to give me the 20-minute tutorial, but what's my first step?
So you download, get the app, Voxer, and you go to Voxer.com, and then, throw out on Twitter, like, hey, and you can throw in hashtags too, because, there's so many different groups, Path to Serendipity with Allison Apsey, and Celebrate Ed, and Principles in Action. So a lot of the hashtags you'll see on Twitter are there. And then, connecting with people that you are connected with on Instagram or Twitter. Hey, what's your Voxer handle? And then reach out, drop a 20 to 40 second Vox. Hey, Tim, got a quick question, blah, 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 boom. And you get back to me when you can. And then instead of us going back and forth and trying to figure schedules out, it's great.
Love that. I got to get in there. Next, Jeff, tell us about a book, maybe one that you've been reading lately or one of your all-time faves. I love your admission that, reading doesn't always come easily for you, but you're pushing through and you're educating, you're always learning. Tell us about a book that you've been reading lately that's really made a difference for you.
I love Ted Dintersmith's book, What School Could Be. That's kind of my nightly read, just a little bit, but it's really cool, the model. He went all over everywhere looking at every type of school and just took out nuggets of what is working and what's not. And it's really cool. And then my all-time favorite book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It just opened me up to a different way of thinking. All-time epicness.
And then, Jeff, are you a podcast listener? Now, I love, just from this interview, I get such a sense that you are connected, man. You are tuned in. So what are you listening to on your commutes?
My number one is Rich Roll. He's a good friend of mine. You listen to Rich's podcast and he will make your life better. He's a recovering addict. He's plant-based, vegan only. The things he's done all over the world are just phenomenal. And the guests he have are epic. Love Josh Stamper's Aspire podcast. I love yours. I love John Harper's. Ben Gilpin and Brad Gustafson have a great one now too. Danny Sunshine. And then I try to listen to some other health ones for my own growth, maybe some financial ones. But I like to mix it up. And, I have about a 40-minute to 60-minute commute. So podcasts are my life.
That's awesome, man. I've heard Rich Roll a couple of times, once on Gary Vee and once somewhere else. And yeah, he's got some interesting perspectives on a whole bunch of things. And so, yeah, you dropped a few gems there that I'm going to second as well. All right. And then the last question, Jeff, purely non-educational here, but just for fun. What are you watching on Netflix when you are out of time, out of energy at the end of your day? What are you enjoying these days?
I loved Master of None, Love, Weeds, Californication. I think those are probably my go. Then my family, we watch all the seasons of Amazing Race. We go back and watch. And I was a big fan of, gosh, what's the Kevin Spacey one where he's president? Yeah, so that was the first couple seasons. Just loved it, but then I don't know, I lost interest. You got to really be awesome to keep my interest because I'm so ADHD. It's got to be quick and funny. Master of None's hilarious to me. So
you mentioned Amazing Race, and I think that's one of the best family shows out there. And you get a little bit of that. Who are you rooting for? Everyone's invested, and it teaches the kids some good geography stuff. So
yeah, it's a great one. We also love Beat Bobby Flay and Chopped. We're big cooking family. Those shows are fun too.
Jeff, dude, you are so much fun. I definitely would love to drop in on your school if I'm ever in the hood. What are the best ways for the listeners to follow you and get to know you just a little better?
Yeah, well, thank you. This was epic. Twitter at Jeffrey Kubiak. I don't have a website, but I do have a blog, principalkubiak.blogspot.com. I am on Instagram, AquaCube, AQUAKUBE. And then Voxer, my handle is J Kubiak. Vox me, man. Let's start hitting it up, brother.
All right. I love it. If I do get into that Voxer and it's on my to-do list, Jeff, I'm going to look you up, man. I'm going to drop you a Vox. So get ready.
Epic.
All right, Jeff. Well, thanks again for doing this. And dude, have an awesome, awesome school year as you build culture there. This has been so enlightening and encouraging. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm blessed and honored, my friend. I really appreciate it. Keep killing it for the world of education, my man.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Teachers on Fire, where teachers come to share, learn, and be inspired. Please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review on iTunes, and follow us on Twitter at Teachers on Fire. I'm your host, Tim Cavey, saying goodbye for now, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Teachers on Fire podcast.